Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBears Casino. Tommy Christ and Ronnie Rance here with you. TK over on this Hump Day edition at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, where you always is the home of the best hamburgers in all of Baton Rouge. But they got some of the great food in the whole land. Go by Tremonti's, check them out. Tell them you heard it right here on Sports Shorts. I am at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com to learn more about the 2025 Hall of Fame class, which was announced just under a month ago. And we are presented by LeBears Casino. Okay, so LeBears Casino, I mean, so much to do over there. Not only is 18 Steak where you need to go for all your fantastic, special events, that romantic dinner, that date night, graduations, whatever. 18 Steak inside LeBears, right outside the casino floor. Where you can bring some folks under 21 with the dinner there, go there. Also, of course, the ESPN Bet Sportsbook, the place to be for all your UFC fights or MLB playoffs, NFL, college football. Go to ESPN Bet, and of course, besides the gambling, which is second to none in the city of Baton Rouge, there's the Edge Lounge. Go check it out. The best live entertainment on Fridays and Saturday nights from 10. The band starts at 10, goes till well late into the night. All right, TK, busy day in sports yesterday. You had 4 MLB playoff games. 3 of the 4 road teams won that. We'll get into that in a minute. We've got, of course, LSU's off this week. The Saints don't play this weekend. They play on Monday Night Football, where they're a 4.5-point dog right now on the road at the Chiefs. So you kind of look around, and there's not a lot of big major marquee games in college football, but we'll talk about some of the big ones to watch. Some news and notes. Of course, Pete Rose passed away. Dikembe Mutombo passed away. Who are, over the age of 50. Those are big, losses. And we'll talk about Pete Rose in a minute. But Dikembe Mutombo is a guy who was such a tremendous, a lot of times when people pass, you learn a lot more about them after they die rather than when they were living. And I think that's the case for Mutombo. Is a lot of people didn't know what a tremendous humanitarian he was for the continent of Africa. He's from the continent of Africa, and what he did for not only his home country but that entire continent. And people may not know this, but African basketball, professional basketball, is exploded in the last 3-4 years up there, and he played a big role in that. Not to mention helping build a hospital in his home country and all that. But we'll talk about those two guys. Big news right here in the world of Sports Shorts Radio, which of course been on the air in Baton Rouge on Sports Shorts Radio on started off on 12:10 a.m. The Score. Then we moved over to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and we appreciate Gordy Rush, Cade Vosan, and all the gang do over at Guarantee for years and years. We're going to still obviously stay on Guarantee on Saturday 10 to noon, but now we're expanding our footprint. We'll be over at ESPN Lafayette, ESPN Charles, 103.7 in Lafayette, 104.1. That's Southwest Louisiana. Going to get to hear the Sports Shorts Radio. Myself, Hunter McCann, Joel Beckwith, every Saturday morning from 10 to noon.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's going to, so many great sports fans in Lafayette and Lake Charles. And, of course, both of them have a team in the Texas Collegiate League with the Rougarou, not to mention the Raging Cajuns and the Cowboys, whose football team turned it around a little bit under Gary Goff. So really excited. I mean, a lot of people over there know about Sports Shorts Daily and Sports Shorts Radio. And this is just going to expand that footprint, as you said. I'm looking forward to that, being in the Southwest Louisiana. And thank RP3, Raymond Parch played a role in this over there in Lafayette. He's been on here on Sports Shorts Daily a couple times a year. So really excited about that. I'm going to have some fun with it. And I just don't know if those people are ready for Joel Davis. I mean, do we have to brace the Lake Charles and Lafayette community a little bit for Joel Davis? Maybe have a qualifier the first week or two?
Yeah, we have to explain exactly the history and the story of Joel every every Saturday at 10:30, and that first half hour just for about a 15-minute segment.
Right, I got a comment I just posted from Craig. Says, "Good morning, congratulations on Sports Shorts radio expansion. Not sure the markets are ready for Joel." See, I mean, I was on spot when I said that.
Yeah, no, definitely. No one is. It's an acquired taste, right? There's no question about it. But no, we're excited, man, and appreciate Jeanette Robinson, the general manager over there, who played a giant role and made this happen. So thanks to her, a longtime friend. All right, TK. So today, things to get to. First off, let's start off with the Major League Baseball and the playoffs. You know, when the pitching at this point, and not the just Major League Baseball this year, but the pitching in general across the world, the training, the information, the nutritional programs, the workout programs, the biometrics, and and the knowing how pitching works and how to get the most out of your movement thanks to these high-speed computers and technology and all that. And you're able to train people differently than what you did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, for sure. It's incredible the velocities at which now people throw, but also how folks manipulate the ball and the process behind it. Tunneling is a terminology that we hear now that's you didn't hear 3 years ago. Like, that's a brand new term. And what it basically means is to make all of your pitches look the same coming out of your hand, the release point the same, that first X amount of feet out of the hand, the same, so that your breaking ball, your fastball, your split finger, whatever it is, all gets released from the same area, all starts on the same plane towards the plate. And then at some point, then it breaks off and it breaks down, or it breaks sideways, or whatever the case may be. That concept of tunneling, in that terminology and what it exactly means and how to do it, that's something that's somewhat new. And that's what you see, like Paul Skeens, like you watch them, Paul Skeens, all of his pitches all come from the same spot. They look the same. They don't do the same, but it's incredible. And we saw big time pitching yesterday on display for a lot of these teams that had their ace going, and it was impressive.
Well, that tunneling thing is really big, and a lot of times they'll do what they call an overlay. Like, they'll show Skeens throwing, and it's the 4 different pitches that all laid into the same frame. And it's amazing, okay? But, Ronnie, with all of that stuff, tunneling and analytics and all this, and everybody just throws as hard as they can for as long as they can, then they put somebody else on the mound, it still goes back to that guy on the mound. I don't care if it's Texas Collegiate League Rougarou game. The guy on the mound, like a Fabian Hernandez, they make a difference. And that's what happened yesterday. You had 3 games that went way under on the run total. 1 went over. It doesn't matter. 3 road teams won, as you mentioned, but it's not about the road and the home. It's about the guy on the mound, and is he getting people out? And that's what it is. So it was remarkable. I saw a lot of the baseball yesterday. I didn't sit and watch 9 innings of any game. And they got 4 games on again today, and following the thing on Gamecast and all. The pitching has been remarkable. And, not just the tunneling, Ryan, but the way these guys are making the ball move. Like, I don't know that they made it, there've been a lot of great pitchers, Greg Maddux, Bob Gibson, we go down the list. But I don't know if they make the ball move with the velo that they do now. It's just amazing, which also, I'm going to take the other side of the coin. That even makes it more impressive when these guys rip a double in the gap,
Right.
or they hit a line shot down the line, because they're turning that stuff around. Because, hitting the baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, and it's harder now than it was 10 years ago. And it wasn't easy 10 years ago. It's amazing to watch that. It's truly, it's fun to me to watch it,
Did the Royals beat 1-0 yesterday? I'm trying to blank here real quick.
Orioles. Yeah. Corbin Burns was on fire. If you pitch 8 innings and don't give up a run, you've given your team the chance to win. But the other guy shut him down. It's the King guy from San Diego last night. They couldn't touch him. He had 12 punch outs in like 5 innings. And again, now it's, hit it over the fence or strike out. That's a thing in baseball now. But to me, and you, being a former pitcher, it's really fun to watch for me to see that guy, and I'm trying to think, okay, I'd throw that pitch again, or here comes changeup in the dirt. Lots of changeups yesterday, lots of sinkers. The movement of the ball is the key. You can throw it 100 miles an hour all day right down the middle of the plate, and they're going to rip it. They're going to get their foot down and rip it. But can you screw them up with the changeup and the sinker? I mean, I wish I had a count of how many pitches were thrown total in all 4 games and how many were a changeup and a sinker. I'm going to make a TK guess that 35 or 40% were changeups or sinkers.
The Mets, who won game 1 of that doubleheader on Monday to punch their ticket into the playoffs, they end up winning on the road. The Braves lost 4-0, as you mentioned, to the Padres in a raucous environment over San Diego. The Royals surprised the Orioles 1-0 on that one. Ben McDonald actually on the call on ESPN2 on that one as an analyst. The pitching matchup of the day was over in Houston. The Detroit ended up winning 3-1, but you had 2 of the best left-handers in the Major League Baseball, and being 2 former left-hand pitchers, obviously that was probably the one that interests me the most. But it is incredible the talent. I'm a guy, Tommy, just quite frankly, a lot different than you. You watch a lot of Major League Baseball throughout the year. I don't. I watch a lot of college baseball throughout the year. And then, of course, my summers are ate up with Hall of Fame and Rougarou, and I don't get a chance to watch much of that once college baseball ends. And so I'm kind of always late to the party on Major League Baseball because I don't have a team. If you don't have like a favorite team, I used to have the Cubs. Life changed over the last 20 years. I'm not as, I don't watch the Cubs like I used to. I think probably but in the last 10, I've hardly watched many Cubs games, but that used to be my team. It was kind of back when WGN had them all and you knew one spot where to go and just kind of watch them all. So I don't really have a team, and because LSU baseball is my team if I had to pick one. And then outside of that, the other college teams. So I'm always like watching a lot of Major League Baseball late in the season. And sometimes I got to learn names like, that guy, I didn't know that guy had that kind of year, that kind of thing. Where Major League Baseball is, if you're a casual observer of the game, the talent is off the charts right now. Now the old school guys, I sit and listen to Will Clark and obviously Pete Rose and others, the old school guys that were, well, nobody hits over 300. Nobody hits over 300. Yeah, I hear you, but and I don't want to. And I say this not disrespectfully, but just like the game is different in college baseball now than when I played 30 years ago. It is different. You can't say, "Wow, we did this." It's different. And what Will Clark and Pete Rose and the guys in the 80s and 90s and faced is different than what they face now. The pitching is better. It's deeper. Yeah, the pitchers may not go 6, 7, 8 innings all the time like they did back then, which, by the way, meant you got a worn down pitcher. Not traditionally do guys throw 98 in the first and throw 98 in the eighth. Paul Skeens does that. He's the only one, right? Most of the time they throw 98 in the first, and by the eighth, they're throwing 94. The velocity goes down. So a lot of times those guys, those great hitters in particular, the Tony Gwynns of the world, the Will Clarks of the world, they were able to get a pitcher that had been, we've seen him 3 times or 4 times, and I'm able to make an adjustment, and his stuff isn't as good as it was at the beginning of the game. Now you don't do that. Those guys are gone. You see them twice, maybe 3 times if they're really good. And then you get another fresh arm throwing 100. So it's a different game, and those hitters are facing different people. I don't know if they'd be as many 300 hitters nowadays, and that's not a knock on the hitters, I think.
I agree with you completely. I mean, now there are certain guys, Ted Williams would still hit the baseball today. Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, George Brett, these guys would still hit the ball. But that next level, no, they're going to hit 225 instead of 275, and that's only like a hit a week, over the 6 months. So that's the difference. You're right. I mean, it's a different game. It's apples and oranges if you want to compare it. But you can throw that list of 40 guys, 25 pitchers, or 50 guys, 25 pitchers, 25 hitters that would succeed no matter who was on the mound or who was at the plate. Okay, just because it was superior talent. But no, it's a different game, and you kind of got to embrace it. If you're a baseball purist like I am and an enthusiast, you embrace it and you enjoy it. What it is, I enjoy watching the batter trying to get the hitter out. Do I like all the celebration, like when Tatis hit the home run last night. He does this leg kick thing before he touches third. I can't stand it. But I'm getting better at that, Ronnie. I'm just like, hey, I want to see. I want to think like the pitcher. What would I throw, or should he throw that pitch again, or should he throw this pitch? And then the hitters, that hit the ball the other way. I mean, there's a lesson for all you kids out there. If you can hit the ball hard the other way, you can play this game for a while. Okay, and I mean that's just a fact. And so, but I enjoy that part of it. And I don't listen to pregame stuff. I don't listen to postgame stuff because it bores me. But the actual baseball game, turning that double play when you're in a jam. In fact, the Astros were down 3-0 most of that game. They had to tie and run at second base bottom of the ninth and weren't able to make it happen.
Guy hit a bullet first. The guy hit a line.
Right. Yeah, line drive to first. All right, Ronnie, you ready for the most amazing stat you heard in a while? This is a postseason baseball stat. If a team is trailing by 3 or more runs in the ninth inning in the postseason, trailing by 3 or more, their record is 1-538. Only your Cubbies in 2016 overcame a 3-run or larger lead in the ninth inning in the postseason, because now they're bringing in a guy. If he doesn't get the batter they want, they're bringing in another guy. Because what happened, Ronnie, in this 2 out of 3 wild card series, they have less position players on the active roster because they want more arms. Because it's you got to win. I mean, it's a 3-game series. That's that fast in Major League Baseball. So there's a lot of strategy going on. It's pretty cool.
Speaking of players not on the postseason roster, although eligible, is DJ LeMahieu. He's on the 40-man, and you could always activate him for the next round. But he didn't have a good year. Hit barely over 200. Don't want to put dirt on him yet. Don't know if this is the end of his career. If it is, he had a 14-year Major League career. But it feels like it is the end of his career. Maybe he guts it out, retools, gets healthy, tries to come back for one more. I don't know what he's thinking, but probably this is it.
Well, the DH may keep him around another year. But he's won a batting title in both leagues. They played second base for Paul Mainieri at LSU, and I remember Mainieri was criticized when we moved him to second. It worked out all right, but he's probably. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's close.
Yeah, he needed to finish a little stronger, probably. He's a LSU Hall of Famer. He's a Louisiana Sports Future Hall of Famer, but
right.
Baseball Hall of Famer, probably tough.
Right.
I'll say this: DJ LeMahieu plays right to what you said earlier. If you can hit the ball the other way, you can hit. DJ LeMahieu always hit the ball the other way in college. The knock on him for the 2 years he played at LSU, the Michigan product, was does he have enough strength? Does he have enough quickness to get the fastball inside and turn on it in the major leagues? Because in college he hit more the other way than he did the inside. But you look at a guy like Tommy White, right, who can hit the ball the other way and hit the ball to all fields and with power. That's why I truly believe, regardless of Tommy White, he'll swing and miss a bunch, and he'll look bad oftentimes on some, but then he'll also hit a ball 2 inches off the ground, down and away, and run it off the wall the other way. He's got unique ability to do that. DJ LeMahieu was same way. It didn't matter where the pitch was. He could stay back, keep his hands inside the ball, and hit it hard to the right field. He ended up having a fantastic major league career. But there are Hunter Fiducia is another guy on the 40-man roster, not active for the Dodgers, but 2 guys that are Alex Bregman and Aaron Nola. We'll be cheering for them. I want to talk about, we mentioned Pete Rose in the early part. Okay. This is such an icon. I mean, especially for somebody like you and I, and more you than I. Pete Rose, of course, the hit king. I really thought he was going to get into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame before he passed. He ended up passing away at 83, just turned 83. I didn't realize he was that old. I'd heard that like a week ago that he was 82, and I was like, oh, he's 82? I didn't realize he's 82. I was thinking for some reason like 79 felt good, but I didn't realize he was 83. But Pete Rose passes away, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. After listening to Tim Kirchin talk, who I think is probably, the guy when it comes to covering Major League Baseball, I enjoy him the most as far as sports writers go and historians and all that. He doesn't think he will anytime soon. That one day there'll be a new generation and all that. But not anytime soon. Are you of that belief?
I don't think he'll ever be in. Ronnie, you don't even know this, but I've been in a lot of text messages since he passed away. Back in the 90s, with a grant money through the National Youth Sports Coaches Association, I spent a month researching the whole Pete Rose thing. I have more information than a lot of people have. And I don't want to get into it right now in Sports Shorts Daily, but I already got a forum set up with a bunch of my old teammates who want to hear some of the stuff that I'm aware of. He'll never get in, okay? And this grant was funded by Jim Bunning, who is a Hall of Famer. He was a United States Senator from Kentucky. His legal counsel, Rick Robinson, and I did a ton of podcasts together called Chin Music. Jim, the last 3 radio interviews Jim ever did in his life were on 12:10 a.m. with me. He had stopped doing that, but he did it as a favor to Rick, and the fact that he put me on that panel to study this Pete Rose thing. I will tell you this, Jim Bunning told me to my face that if Pete Rose was put in the Hall of Fame, he and at least 50 other members of the Hall of Fame would request to be taken out. They didn't want to be in if they let. It's got mafia ties, underage girls trafficking. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. It's all documented, okay? So, but I think, and hearing a lot of stuff this week, Johnny Bench was on the Dan Patrick show. He said, Pete's one of my best friends in the world, but this didn't end like it needed to end. And he said he'll never get in, but Johnny Bench convinced me to think this. It should be 2 parts. This is a 2-part story. 4,256 hits on the field, and then everything that happened off the field, including betting on the Reds. And if you bet he said he'd never bet against the Reds, but if you don't bet, that's betting against the Reds because you don't think they can win. Okay, here's the point. I think they should put him in the Hall of Fame. And I've said for 20 years they should not. But they're only if they document the fact that everything he did wrong and that he accepted a lifetime permanent ban from baseball.
TK, I unfortunately I apologize. I have to jump off the phone. Delta Media, our new bosses over in Lafayette Lake Charles are calling for me to jump on a show with them. But I want to
let me just say this. I'm happy to get a group of guys together.
Yeah,
and I can bring tons of stuff. We can all go sit somewhere one night. And I think there's a lot of people that say, oh, no, it's a shame he's not in the Hall of Fame. They don't know the whole story. Like, fortunately, I do know. All right, Ronnie, you go do what you got to do. I'm going to remind folks about Tremonti's Meat and Seafood for everything you need for the weekend. Hey, they do game processing here. Deer season, all of game. They can do all that. They've done that for 25 years here at Tremonti's. They got game processing, deer, whatever you shoot, they can fix it up for you. And then, of course, today at Tremonti's is the hamburger special. It's each and every Wednesday, $6.99. You can eat it here or you can get it to go. Burger and fries for $6.99. And that's the world famous Tremonti's hamburger, which is the official hamburger of the Baton Rouge Rougarou. So stop in. You can eat it here. We got about 10 tables. Or you can get it to go, bring a bunch back to the office. Hamburger special. And that's each and every Wednesday here at Tremonti's. Now, don't forget, we'll be back Friday for another edition of Sports Shorts Daily. On behalf of everybody here at Tremonti's and Ronnie Rance, I'm Tommy Chrysan. Have a great day, everyone.